Hi there, everyone. This is Julia Malloy, business expert for the design industry. Hope you're doing great today. We are on day 4, I believe. Oh, yes, day 4 of our Get Organized for Fabulous February. Today, we are going to be talking about your job, CEO. And I actually have a really good giveaway. It's pretty beefy. Hopefully you've gotten this far by going to my blog, subscribing to the juliamalloy.com blog. It's called Alchemy, and there's going to be a whole series. This whole series is going to be in that blog. And if you go to the shop, there are free downloads of each one of the documents associated with each business day of this month. So far we've had the systems checklist that hopefully you have downloaded and have checked off the things that you have already as part of your systems for your firm. And we've gone through key characteristics, we've gone through the accountability chart for your staff. And now we're talking about each one of the roles in some detail, and I am providing some things for that. Now, the CEO role is a little special because it's you, and it's an interesting thing because there's not a lot of job descriptions out there for you. It's like, oh, do everything. But I have actually developed a pretty comprehensive CEO tasking tool, and it's a description of all the things I see as a part of that role and a brief description of each one of these. So if you haven't already, go to the website, juliamalloy.com, go to my shop, and download the CEO, what am I calling this? CEO Tasks worksheet, okay? And I have little instructions here on the first page, and then I go through several of the items, and they'll have, a description. Can you see this? It's so hard to see on this. A description of each one of the topics that I have identified as being key parts of your role. Also, I have put on here a worksheet, and I do describe how to use that, but in a nutshell, I want to tell you what you need to do. So if you're a sole proprietor, you're doing all of these, okay? And hopefully it will be short-lived, and you will have the ability and the impetus to bring on some help, whether that is part-time, whether it is 1099, whether it is an admin expediter, part-time, somebody to assist you. And certainly 1099 is much more of an option than it ever has been before. Certainly for your CAD, that would be the first thing I would offload, is any drawings and those kinds of things. And then admin expediting would be the next thing, okay? Now when you get to a certain point in your firm, and you have someone who is kind of your right-hand person, oftentimes that is your admin expediter that kind of graduates to business manager after you bring on a full-time or at least a more dedicated expediter. Then those tasks are offloaded from the admin, and they become more of an office manager / business manager. And that's when that right-hand person can start taking on some of these roles. Now I have on that worksheet created a little worksheet for you guys to do. So the idea behind this is when you are ready to offload and share some of these CEO tasks, you have a really clear way of doing so. So I often, like when I do some of my intensives work or one-on-ones with my client, I walk them through this process of taking that second in command role, whatever that is for you, and whatever they're transitioning from and into, we use this as a tool, okay? And sometimes they are able to take on some of these things that you delegate to them, and that helps you to offload the magnitude, huge task of being a CEO, because you've got all your design stuff, but then all of the other stuff and that's why I'm giving you the CEO principal designer task list, because these are the things that often get overlooked. And so you're so busy doing the technician stuff, the bringing in the business and leading your design projects, and maybe you're looking at financials, maybe you're looking over the time billing report, and maybe you're looking over some of the metrics for your firm and navigating, some of the marketing and that kind of thing. But there are a lot of other things that you need to be keeping on your radar, okay? Now, for this particular sheet, I kept it to a solo situation where you're not migrating another person into taking over some of your roles, but you're just handling it just yourself. If, by the way, you are in that situation and you are bringing someone in to help you on more of a business level, then send me a message, or you can always just email me at julia@juliamaloy.com. I will send you the version that has another worksheet so that you can kind of do this side by side and more easily delegate. Okay? But anyway, for the rest of you, these are yours and you own these. Okay? And what I've done is I want you to start estimating, because even if you know these are yours, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get around to it. So you've got to be able to plug it into your schedule. And in order for you to plug it into your schedule and get organized, you need to do a little bit of time management. Okay? So the first part of that is to understand how much time this is taking for you. So I want you to go down each one of these items on your responsibilities list, and I want you to gauge how much time it will take in a quarter. When you're thinking about your CEO tasks, there are a couple things that you do on a monthly basis, a couple things on a weekly basis. But the majority of your CEO tasks, aside from a few financial reviews and project review reporting that you need to keep an eye on, the other things are really happening on a quarterly basis. I want you to start thinking about your years in terms of quarters, okay? And so you're taking each one of these tasks and you're thinking about how much time it will take you to do that task in a 3-month period. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Okay? And once you've got that estimated in each one of these lines, establish company positioning, implement company structure, budgeting, monthly reporting review, determine and track company metrics, there's all kinds of office technology. And, it may vary. Some of these things you're not going to do, like ensure office technology. I mean, you're generally not doing that every quarter. Maybe you kind of go through that at one period over one quarter and kind of establish it, and then you're done. How long will that take? Well, you're not doing every quarter, but over the course of the year, you're still going to end up spending, 3 hours on it, let's say. So you break that into 4 pieces and plug that in, okay? So go through this and estimate how much time, and then there is a total here. To total it up. And so that gives you an idea of how much time you're going to have to allocate in your schedule, in your calendaring for these types of tasks. Also, on the same line item, just to the left, if you want to take that a step further and write Q1, Q2, Q3, or Q4, or any combination thereof, to really zone in and hone in on one of these items, you can. So you can actually plot out, 3 hours Q2, 2 hours Q1, Q4, plot it out. So once you've got that, then you can start breaking it out, and then your next thing is to really get a handle on what each one of those means for your firm and what you want to do in each one of those areas, monthly reporting review or develop strategic alliances. I mean, these are some of the things that you really need to get to. So I want you to define what those mean for you at this point, in this juncture, this year in your company as CEO. And then I want you to plug it into your calendar. I prefer to have development days, biz dev days, 2 Fridays out of every month. And I'll be talking about the office rhythm and how you accomplish that later in another one of our days together, okay? But in the meantime, go through and break this out for yourself so you have a little bit more structure, and you can look and see, oh gosh, Q2 for me is really busy. I've got 7 things here that I've said I want to do in Q2, and each one of them is taking me like 3 to 5 hours. So then okay, well, that means that I really need to carve out, 3 Fridays, 3 or 4 Fridays of working really hard, or maybe I schedule a biz dev day and really, just power through some of these things. But until these things are actually tangibly quantified for you, it is very difficult to plug it into your calendar. So we're getting organized. I want you to quantify how much these things are going to take, where in what quarter they are going to take place, and sorry, my husband keeps calling me. And then plug it into your calendar, and preferably schedule out, not every Friday, because if you try to do it every Friday, it's just never going to happen. Try to get, if not 2 Fridays out of every month in the afternoon or whenever that is that you're still going to be fresh on a Friday, and then you can power through. That's my recommendation in terms of when. That's when I like it. It tends to be a little bit more quiet. So that's what I have to say on your roll. Please download this and take a look, and hopefully you'll have time to do this tonight before tomorrow, because I really want you to be working on all of these pieces with me real time, okay? And I know it's not a lot of time to work on each thing, but I'm not asking that much of you. This one's probably one of the more time-intensive tasks that I will be assigning to you over the course of these 20 days, but it'll be worth it, and it'll help you to organize your thoughts around your role and what you're doing this year. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me today. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at the admin expediter role, and that'll be interesting, and I will share with you what I am going to be giving you for each one of the roles in your firm. Okay, so until then, be well, and I will see you tomorrow. Be bold, my friends.